kind of
Video's
filter
live
in.
now. We're on.
Can you see us?
Yep.
All right, and
A little something different today. We're here.
huh? Waiting for Marine Max. Let's see what's going on YouTube. If you got us on YouTube, drop in the comments. We're trying something different out today, but here we go. We're there.
Yep.
So welcome to WHZO. Looks like we're doing a radio show setting today, and we got Captain Keith, who, contrary to popular belief, does exist in real life too. He's not just a man behind a computer screen. And I'm Captain Nick with Marine Max in St. Petersburg. And
well, it appears our captains just disappeared for a second, so we'll stand by and kind of check in to see how long it takes them to get back in here. But we are live on Facebook and YouTube. I'm the guy behind the curtain, Ori. So, and now we got the pup coming in the door. It's going to be one of those episodes, it looks like. So everybody out there, basically, Ori is joining us. Oh, looks like they jumped back in. Ori's joining us from JL Audio. Let's get these guys back in here.
Yep, I'm going.
ready to do this again?
Wait. Take two. All right.
Well, cool, man. Well, today we're going to be talking about all things marine audio. Of course, the biggest name in the business is JL Audio. If you want to crank the tunes, if you want to let everybody know that you're at the sample, or if you just want good, clean sounds, then here we are. So thank you for joining us, Ori, and we're looking forward to this episode. I probably haven't had this many people reach out to me as far as personally reaching out about how excited they are about the episode. So if there's anything that you need to know about, just marine, later on Marine Max on Facebook and YouTube and Instagram, and of course all the major streaming platforms such as Spotify, Apple Music. How about yourself?
Well, thanks for having me, Captain Keith and Captain Nick. It's exciting to be here. You guys have a really cool thing going, and I appreciated the invite to join in the marine industry, and Boston Whaler and Harris Pontoons and Nautique, and a lot of brands that you all carry at Marine Max are actually made not far from you guys, just north of Tampa. But like magnets and some of the metal parts and things like that we can't get in North America, we do have to import. And then we have a facility there in Miramar. It's about 200,000 square feet where we manufacture everything. And we are now up to we're just south of 600 employees in the company. So, and we cover, obviously the marine market is huge for us, but our roots are in car audio. We started by selling subwoofers in the car audio market, and then speakers and amplifiers, and then got into marine. But we also have a really great line of home audio subwoofers, which are very well renowned in the home audio space. So we kind of cover all breadths of audio at some point, and we're really excited about the things that we're doing and the products that we sell.
Hey, what are some of the challenges you mentioned that you're going through? Home audio, car audio, and stuff like that. What are some of the challenges on marine audio, especially, for instance, in saltwater? I mean, are you guys switching up components? What makes marine audio so difficult and so different than something you'd put on in your car or truck?
Yeah, that's huge. The environment that the speakers are in make a huge impact in how you need to manufacture and the components that you use to do that. So we have to use materials that are going to stand the test of time in a salt environment, but also a very high UV environment. And I think that's one of the things that sets us apart, being a company that is based in South Florida and having so many employees that are involved in boating. Our engineers are involved in boating. I myself am a boater. Lots of guys on my team are boaters. So we understand the rigors of it. So we use materials like our plastic is a special type of plastic that our engineers worked with the plastic company to make sure that we had the right UV stability and the right strength. But also like even the surrounds of our speakers and the cones and the way the tweeters are designed, the coatings that we use. We have very rigorous standards for salt fog and for UV protection. And you can't, like years ago, people would just take a car audio speaker and they would find a really cool white grill and they'd put on top of it and then put that in a boat. And that would last a season and maybe two at the most. But when we came out with our marine audio product in 2004, our goal was really to give you something that was going to stand the test of time. And that to this day, that's always been the hallmark of our product, is the reliability and the quality of it, and the fact that you can use it, you know, in South Florida in an incredibly UV intense environment with lots of salt in the air, and that product is going to last you a really long time.
Keith, you just ran a boat with some JL audio on it, huh?
Yeah, so that's the reason I'm here. So I just some clients of ours, some customers, just took delivery of a Boston Whaler 325 Conquest. So we just ran down Tampa Bay, and they're going to keep it here at the Marine Max St. Pete store. So I literally, you guys were kind of behind the scenes before we came on here live, but I came sliding in the door and into the chair here with a couple of minutes to spare. But that boat, man, we had the Bluetooth hooked up to his phone. He had the buffet cranking. And I mean, the speakers, when you're at the helm, I mean, you got sound coming from every direction. I mean, we're running. It's windy out today. It's rough. We're chopping. We're running along. But you didn't have to have that volume cranked up so loud where it was like, you know, bothering you. You know, the sound was still crisp and everything. It's a great system in that boat.
Yeah, the 325 Conquest is an amazing boat, and that speaks to our relationship with Boston Whaler, and we work with them very early in the process when they're literally designing the boat and they're still in CAD on the boat. We get to come in and we talk to them and their engineers about where we should be placing speakers and where we should be placing subwoofers to get optimum sound quality. And that's another one where we were in there very early working on that. And yeah, the results of that kind of collaboration that we get to do, you got to see that firsthand today, and it's amazing. And the folks that took delivery of that boat are, you know, they're going to really enjoy that. So we're really proud of that relationship, and the fact that we get to work with the great people at Boston Whaler all the time.
One of the interesting things about Whaler, we were talking about this before we went live. They used to do plant tours pretty regularly at Whaler, and now with COVID, they've really put a stop to that. But anyway, before when I went there, one of the things that I noticed and I told everybody about was, like, you know, they pour the foam in the boat, which is what Boston Whaler is known for, and then it's a long, intricate build process after that, relatively. But one of the first things they do when that hull is right there, before anything else is done, they start rigging the speakers in that boat. And we were like, man, really? Like, isn't that one of the last stages? No, it's literally part of the boat. And that's kind of one of those things that we were talking about, just with that relationship with the manufacturer. That's really cool. How do you go about?
Well, one of the things is that we have a great team. We have some guys that are really knowledgeable on placement and acoustics, and we bring them into the process very early. And we, you know, like I said, at Whaler, we'll get to look at the model of the boat and kind of virtually walk that with them and speakers. And, you know, it's a combination of those guys that are really good at acoustics. And then also, you know, we've been doing this now since 2000, and what doesn't work because we've tried, you know, a lot of different things. You know, with why you see those speakers get in there so early, because they've got to be in the right place. So yeah, you've got to plan ahead for that, and getting to this is really cool.
Yeah, and you can definitely tell in the end product too by, you know, having a boat that's not just loud but sounds good, and that really just makes for a great experience altogether. So we've got this, and I'm on YouTube here, and
so before we jump into the questions, there's a lot of comments on here for Landon jumping in and kind of saving the day, so thinking on his feet. So it may happen as the day progresses, but
Want to go back and forth? We got a ton of.
One's kind of a question more so for you, but have you any good used motors, 90 to 135 horsepower?
No, and you know what's funny? We literally had some. We are a huge repower center, even more so in Clearwater with both Yamaha and Mercury.
Yeah.
We're kind of getting into it here, but new engines is a little bit more our deal. But used engines, you see the deals pop up on Craigslist, or maybe if somebody's repowering their current boat, they got to get rid of the engine somehow.
Yeah, but,
so
yeah, we're not going to have it around here though.
I don't really know anything about it.
Pam Siegel has got a question kind of / statement. Says, I have trouble keeping my radio Bluetooth with my iPhone. It disconnects frequently. Any suggestions? She's got a 2020 Nautic Star. I've kind of noticed that if you on certain models of boats, I don't know if it's the boat or if it's the stereo in it or whatever, but it starts to lose it. So I mean, Pam, if you've got the phone on you, Pam, I mean maybe set it, keep it up there at the helm, close to the stereo head unit, and you shouldn't really be fading in and out or losing the connection like that.
Yeah, that's your.
Hey, Stephanie,
Keith, you said the best thing. What we see a lot of times is people have their phone in their back pocket, and now their body is literally between their phone and the Bluetooth antenna that's built into the source unit, and your body's kind of blocking that signal. So when you're on the boat, you really want to keep.
Yeah, that'll 9 out of 10 times that'll probably fix it. If not, then who knows? Could be a bunch of things, but usually have somebody a lot smarter than me dig into that.
Yeah. So what do you got over there on the YouTube world there?
Yeah, we had a question from Louis. A 290 SCX outboard. Congrats, Louis. Great boat. So happy to find this channel and excited to start learning so much. Ordered with a VHF with an antenna, but looking at standard Horizon, it's HOR, standard Horizon HX890 is backup. Recommendations, please, as far as a backup VHF. Do you run into that a lot on a 290 SCX? I mean, if you ordered a bit to go.
Yeah, I mean that boat. Well, I mean you can take the boat, you can run the keys, you can run it wherever. But yeah, I wouldn't have any problems using that. But if you do want to get a handheld, I mean, there's a lot of different manufacturers, a lot of different things. But ICOM, I'm not on their payroll, but that's the handheld VHF radio I've got. Works really well. You get one that's waterproof. So if you do drop it in the water, it'll kind of the speaker. It's got water off the speaker so that the audio still stays nice and crisp.
Got a couple before we move back to some questions here. We got a lot of shout outs. We've got Jag Pimp. Thanks for joining us again. Greetings from Tucson. Good to have you. We've got Connor Guru. Hello from DC. 57 degrees. Bluebird day. About the same. Once again, greetings from Miami. Lewis is with his new 290 SCX outboard. So thanks for joining us. And definitely bring the questions. Yep. So really quick, we got any good audio questions there on Facebook? Maybe Ori can answer.
Pam Whitaker chimed back in. She said, thanks guys. She'll try to keep her phone closer to the head unit. And then we got a question here from Lori Blaylock. You shouldn't be having any issues at all with the Simrad unit in the bright sun as far as that.
I ran them in the middle of the day.
If you push and release the power button briefly, that you can slide the brightness up or down as far as resetting it. But it may have got put like night mode would be kind of a black and then the red kind of settings in the background.
Yeah, sure, it might be in night mode.
But the push and release the power button, go into the main menu on the screen, and then there's a little slider scale on the right hand side and kick.
Looks like we got a question from Connor. This is going to be a good one for Ori. We've got, what should we do during delivery? We deal with it with new boats all the time, Keith. Fresh out of the factory, they are made by humans. So we've got our checklist that we go through to make sure that everything's tight. What are some things?
Well, the first thing that I would do is clear anybody's Bluetooth connection to the device because at the factory, they're doing lots of checks. And the easiest way for the guys at the plant to check the system is to connect their personal phone to your radio on your boat and then test it. And by the time you get through there may be 3 or 4 people that have connected, and maybe you have a limit of 6, So probably the main thing is to do like a master reset or just remove all that, or maybe Kath and Keith connected to your Bluetooth too, and you want to
I guarantee
that out.
I guarantee through there, and it's like whoever the
Albie
guy that rigged it up.
phone.
Yeah, it's like, why don't you guys clear all that?
Typically, some of them may have a different taste in how they like to listen to music, so they may turn your bass and treble and mid all the way up or all the way down, or they're just down to flat until you find where your taste lives and where you like to listen to music. But yeah, kind of resetting all that stuff and getting it back to the rest of the audio system if you've got amps and subwoofers involved. And I think a lot of times, like your riggers will probably do this. They have access to the information that we share with the factory, which has the proper settings on the amplifier for certain models, just to double check that that's been set up correctly. So,
All right,
yeah.
Matt Shackleton just asked on here. He goes, "I recently just bought 2 pairs of the M6 8.8s. What's the best amp that I would pair these 4 speakers with? I don't want to underpower them by any means."
Great question, because our 8.8s is first of all, it's almost a 9-inch speaker, so it's a really big speaker. It's very capable of replaying really good mid bass, and it's probably just the baddest of the bad out there. So what we have people do on those 8.8s is they're capable of up to 225 watts of power. So if you take our 808 amplifier and bridge that, giving you max power out of that amp, which is the 8.8s are more than capable of handling. And honestly, that really opens up that speaker and makes that thing sensitive. So underpowering is not the best thing to do with that. So yeah, power those babies up, give them 200 watts, and they'll sing.
Cable wires. I mean, you got to have the battery power to put it all through and all that.
Yep. You got to make sure that your charging system is good, that you have enough battery for the amps. Now, I will tell you that our M series amps, that's our most popular series of amplifiers that we sell. Those are super efficient. They're gonna run, like I have 4 amps in my boat. We can run all day at the sandbar and then reach over, tap the start button, and away we go. So you don't need to get crazy with the batteries, but making sure that you do have at least a dual battery setup is a good, safe way to go. You talked about cables. We sell everything under the sun, from power cable to speaker wire to RCA interconnect cables. We've gone through and our engineers have designed all that stuff to make sure, number one, it's going to last in a marine environment, and number two, that musically and acoustically, they're of the highest quality. So, what I tell people is, you've already spent a lot of money on our speakers and our amps. Don't scrimp on the RCA cables and the speaker wire. You want to make sure and have high quality components in there to finish off your system.
Got another technical question here coming in from YouTube from Jan. Should I use a separate battery banks for the sound system?
It really depends on the setup, on the boat, on the engine and charging system that boat has. But you don't, is it going to help? Is it going to prevent you from getting stuck at the sandbar? It would, but it's not absolutely necessary. Again, I have a dual battery setup in my personal boat, and we run, at the sandbar all day long, and we don't have any problem, tapping that start button and firing right up and heading back in.
So Matt Shackleton responded back here. He just wanted to thank you. He said, "Awesome. Thanks again. And here's some good kudos for you and your team." He says, "The JL team has always had great customer service."
Well, thank you, Matt. We have an awesome team. They work really hard. They're always there. I like to tell people they're like the Zappos of audio customer service. They answer any and all questions that our customers have, or anybody has for that matter.
Teamwork makes the dream work, baby.
So, all right, Ori, got another one here, buddy. So they go, this is from Hummer Ramos. Do you have a showroom for walk-in before purchasing? So, in other words, how can somebody go and try out yours versus the competition and whatnot?
Yeah, well, we don't have our own showroom at our headquarters. but we have dealers all over the country. So wherever you're at, you can go on jlaudio.com. You can find a dealer. We also, Marine Max is a dealer of JL Audio. So a lot of Marine Max locations, you'll be able to go in and see some of the product, or like if they didn't have a display, I'm sure you could get on a boat and take a listen to something. But yeah, I mean, wherever you're at, you should be able to find somewhere close where you could experience our product.
So there's some reason today.
Yeah, I think so too. Like, are you getting any lagging over there? Because it's lagging a little bit on my YouTube, but whatever. Look here, Ori. We got Nathan saying, "Can you explain how systems such as JL interface into using two separate zones on a boat for the best sound quality? What specific audio interface components would you recommend using?"
I guess that depends on what he means by zones. So if you're just wanting to play the exact same music, the same source material on different sections of the boat, that's source unit dependent. So like if you look at our MM100 source unit, we have 4 different zones, and how we lay that out in the boat is going to depend on, a lot of different factors in the boat that you're on. But, we can play and adjust the volume at the bow of the boat, at the helm, at the cockpit, the tower, or adjust the subwoofers and things like that. So it's really source unit dependent. If you're looking to play multiple source material in different zones, then you're using different source units and either connecting those together or having just completely dedicated source units for each one of the zones. So like a cabin and then on the above deck type stuff. It really just depends on the boat.
Speaking of MM100, I have some comments here in the YouTube chat. We've got Mercedes D saying, "Are you replacing a Media Master 100 with a newer unit soon?" And then Sergi comes in and says, "The M100 is discontinued. Do you offer different Twitters?" So, well, is that true? Is the M100 discontinued?
It's not discontinued, and I think the one question was, do we have something coming? The question is, yes, we always have new things coming.
I like that.
So to tell you specifically what we have coming, we're not ready to answer that just yet. But our team is always coming out with new and better product, and just keep your eyes peeled. Stuff's on its way. I think the other question that you had was related to our tweeters, our 1-inch marine tweeters, the M100 series tweeters. Yeah, those did get discontinued when we moved from our old M series product to what we now call M6. Keep your eye out there. We will have something in that space too, sooner rather than later.
Cool.
Got a Facebook question here from Brian Drapp. Hey, Brian, thanks for joining us again.
Long time no see.
Regular. He goes, would it be suggested to double up the mids and highs distributed all over the boat for the best sound quality?
Well, more is always better, right? But yeah, I mean, it depends on the boat. Like there are laws of diminishing returns, right? You guys, I'm sure you guys have been around and been to the Miami Boat Show and seen some of those boats with 50 and 60 speakers on them. Now, we love that, but was that necessary? Probably not.
Right.
So it really just we'd have to see the boat, see what the setup is. And, you're going to get more output. It's going to play a little louder. You're going to be able to, blow everybody out of the water if you double up. But do you really need to? Is just dependent on the vessel and what you're trying to do.
Good stuff. Let's see. We got Ron Shinnick here. "I have a 17 Dauntless and want to upgrade the sound system. What would you recommend?" Because the sound system on a 17 Dauntless or 17 Dauntless from the factory is pretty darn good. But I don't know what year he's talking here. So let's talk generally here. Your 17-foot center console. We're talking about the laws of diminishing return. How much is enough? How much is overkill? Just a good quality system that's going to sound good, and
Well, that's it's a lot like I've got a little 15 Montauk, so it's pretty similar boat. What we want to do with that Montauk is have we want 4 speakers in that and a subwoofer. So four speakers and a subwoofer in a small boat like that, it's going to give you ample sound around the boat, and it's going to give you really good frequency range and really good frequency response. So that's what I would look for in a boat like a 17 Dauntless.
Would you need an amp, do you think, for a boat like that? 4 speakers and a sub?
Either depends on, again, how loud do you want it to play? What kind of goals are you after? So you could do you're going to need a head unit or an amplifier to push the subwoofer, but you could get by if you have a good head unit with a good amplifier built into it, like our Media Master 50. You could do 4 M3 6.5s, and then our MX 301 subwoofer amp and an MX or a M310, and you'd have a great sounding system in that little boat. That's pretty much what we're looking to do in our personal 15 Dauntless this summer.
Oh, no kidding.
Look at that, Brian Drapp. He just kind of answered a question there. So, Brian had followed up the previous one. Says, which head units do you recommend or do you suggest?
Well, hey, I'm partial.
Right.
We have our JL Audio MM50 if you need a head unit with a built-in amplifier. It gives you 2 zones and a subwoofer adjustment. And then our Media Master 100S gives you 4 zones, Sirius XM, and a bigger color screen. So it depends on what the needs are, but obviously those 2. But the other thing too is, like, we have a little Bluetooth controller. We call it the MBT CRX that plays right down to an amplifier. I wouldn't sit on that. That's a nice little piece to have. Most of us are really just playing Bluetooth these days. If you don't care about AM FM and you're not really needing Sirius XM and you just want to stream, that little Bluetooth device packs a nice little punch for the money.
What's that one called?
It's called the MBT CRX, and I think we're on our V2 of that right now.
So that's streaming only, huh?
Yeah, just Bluetooth only. It's just a little controller. It's got track up and down, volume up and down, and power. It's just got a little 5-button display or 5-button keypad on it, and then it just outputs RCA to the amplifiers, and you can have Bluetooth. I mean, kind of back to Brian's 17 Dauntless, that might be a good way to go too. If all you're going to do is Bluetooth, you can accomplish that really easily.
Yeah, I mean the audio quality, anymore. The FM signal that we get on these boats is it's okay,
Mm-hmm.
but once people flip it over, get on their Bluetooth, then it's as crisp as can be.
Yeah, FM's always tough, especially here in the marina.
Yeah, and FM's hard because unless you're on like a center console or offshore boat where you've got your big VHF antennas and things like that. Typically, the manufacturers are trying to hide the antenna. They don't want to see a big whip antenna on it, so it's buried in the console, and that's not the best for FM reception. But what you can do now with all the apps that are out there is you can listen to any station that you really want to. There's an app called TuneIn Radio or iHeartRadio or any of those. You could use that and get much better sound quality than trying to tune in that local station.
How about it's time for a question? I've got a question for you. What is the most memorable rig you've ever been a part of with the JL Audio team? Like, we talked about the Miami Boat Show. What was the one that you'll never forget with the most groundbreaking technology and that was over the top?
Well, so I'm going to give you 2 because they're 2 very different boats. But a couple years ago, we worked with HCB and did one of their 53 Sueños with, like, I want to say there were 14 or 16 12-inch subwoofers on that boat.
Wow.
It was crazy. The owner was what stood out about that was seeing the owner's face when he played it for the first time and how loud and clear and clean it was. That it's really cool to get to see that come together, to see these big plans, and people want a big loud system and they want to definitely be the loudest guy out at the sandbar. And when that comes to fruition and they get to hear that thing cranked up for the first time, is pretty cool. The other one for me is a completely different world, but it's more kind of in my world of, we like to go out and wake surf and do things like that. But
Right.
when,
How we play, baby.
what's that?
How we play.
That's right. How we play. That's our tagline, and we love that. But when Nautique finished the first G23 Paragon, and we got to hear that boat completed for the first time, and we had developed the technology that we call Wake Sub, which are two 12-inch subwoofers that are really buried into the boat and play out the back. And when we finally got to hear all that together, that was really cool because we'd worked on that with the Nautique design team for about 3 years total, from idea and just talking about what could be and things that we could do and just crazy ideas to actually fruition and to be on that boat for the first time was a really, really cool experience.
How far has marine audio technology exactly came? Like, is it that much different than it was a decade ago or in 2004 when you guys started with marine audio? Or is it generally the same? I mean, boats and engines, I mean, they're evolving. I mean, shoot, we just saw Mercury release a V12 outboard. Who would have thought?
Right.
But I mean, is the world of audio, is it changing that much or
It's changed a ton.
yeah.
The number one, the expectations of the consumer are much higher today. And think about it. When you buy a new car today, the sound system in your new car today versus 10 years ago is much, much greater. So those expectations, they come with those same expectations when they're buying a boat. So we've had, we at JL Audio have had to up our game, but all of the manufacturers have had to up their game, and kind of thinking back to what I said earlier, when we started in marine audio, a lot of the companies were just painting car speakers white, and then we kind of we threw that on its head and said, hey, we're going to design a speaker from the ground up that truly is made for marine and made for the saltwater environment. And it's just, we've worked really hard to continue to progress that, coming up with larger speakers, the 8.8s and our 12-inch subwoofer, which is absolutely phenomenal. But now we've moved into the technological stage of it where we have a line of DSP amplifiers where we can custom tune a specific model of boat. So we'll go back to the Boston Whaler example that we started with. Keith was on a 325 on that 405 that Boston Whaler just released about a year ago. That boat we worked on and designed, but it has our DSP technology built into it. And so our tuning that's done is custom for that model boat and then is completely repeatable again and again at the factory. So some of these technologies are really cool, and we're really just starting to tap into what we can do with that. And then, I think probably the next hurdle is connectivity across the boat and communicating with all of the systems in the boat in a much better manner. I mean, we have the NEMA connection in all of our source units, and depending upon whose MFD you're using, you can access that information. But I think that what you're going to see in the next probably 3 to 5 years is that even growing even more and becoming more custom to the boat manufacturer, and getting closer to how it is when you get in your vehicle today.
Nice. Hey, I got a great question here for you. It's from, actually, there's a comment too. So, Stephen Tercey, that was an amazing experience.
That's Stephen Teresi, and he's our director of training and technical services at
Okay,
JL.
well, yes, the Nautique Wake Subboat. He's like,
yeah, he was with us when we got to hear that for the first time. So
gotcha.
he got to live that with the rest of us. It was pretty awesome.
So you can see the smile through his face just on the way he wrote that. So, and then Jason Dorshak has got a question here. He says, I currently have 8 M6 6.5s running off an MV 800/8. Would I be underpowered to run 16 M6 6.5s off that amp, or just buy the second amp? Thanks.
Well, in that particular case, because Jason's using our MV 808, that's our DSP line of amps I was just talking about. So I would technically, he can run all 16 of those speakers on that amp, but I wouldn't do it. And the reason I wouldn't do it is then I lose the controllability of each and every speaker. So if he runs 2 808s, he has full control over each of the 16 speakers and completely tune each and every one of them on a very micro level. So the fact that you've invested in that DSP technology and you spend a little bit more money for that amplifier tells me that you really want to be able to have that adjustability, and you would lose a little bit of that if you just paired up channels and we're running things in parallel.
That's cool.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot that goes into it, and hearing you talk about all this, I personally have no clue, and I don't even know where to start. But I've got a question that came in here actually over text that says, let's see, where is it? I don't have speakers but want to add some. Can I do it myself? How complicated?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, it depends on how handy the person is, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to have to cut a hole in something, because the speaker is going to require a hole. So you're comfortable doing that and comfortable with low voltage electricity, to run the audio system. As long as you're comfortable with those things, it's not rocket science by
Right.
any stretch. If you just want a small system to run off of deck power, you can run 4 speakers off of deck power really easily. You just place your speakers, run your wire right back to your head unit, and away you go. You can get even more complicated by adding an amp and a sub, and then you need to read the owner's manual and understand how the amplifier works properly. But audio is really cool in that it can be very complex, it can be very daunting, but it can also be very easy to do. So if you've got a little bit of know-how, a little bit of capability, it's not a huge challenge.
Make sure you know how deep that speaker is before you go drilling a
Where you
hole.
cut that hole. Yep.
Go through
Yep.
the tunnel of it. Oh, it don't fit. You don't want to be like drilling holes out the side and having the magnets hanging out the sides.
Oh no.
So measure twice and cut once, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
Or measure 3 times.
Yeah. No shortage of comments today. And if you miss anything, we can always get with us after. We can always get with Ori, and we can get you the information. We had one other question come in here, one other technical question on YouTube from Nathan Masterson. To incorporate more than 5 channels specifically, what JL components would you recommend using, especially for multiple zones?
Incorporating more than 5 channels. So yeah, I mean, you just stack up amps.
Yeah.
You can. A lot of our amps have a pass through. So if you're already using a 5-channel amp and you need another set of 5 channels, you can purchase another 5-channel amp and just pass it through from the main amp onto the secondary amp. We make 8-channel amplifiers too. So it's kind of stacking up amplifiers. And kind of back to the question earlier, our preference is always to have an amplifier channel per speaker. That really is the best way, in our opinion, to design a system and to give the customer the full control and to get it tuned up as best as possible.
We just had another question come in here on Facebook from Hummer Ramos. Does Marine Max sit down with you and figure out what speakers, amps, head unit, and so forth would work best to have installed on your particular boat? Yes, we do. I work up at the Clearwater store. Mike Nolan is the service manager up there. He's very hands-on with the marine audio units and stuff like that. And then I know you down here, your store, you got Don Ross. They've got an electronics guy standalone that kind of does all that stuff. But yeah, for sure. So your Marine Max stores throughout the country will have somebody that you can get with to sit down and map it out and figure out where you want the speakers or the amps and to add stuff and to do all that. So I've got a 38 Rome that we're delivering next week that they've added a lot of stuff to and everything else. So it'll sound really, really good.
Man, you guys at Marine Max have been a great dealer of JL audios for a really long time. And we've over the years gotten to work with the people there, and great crew, great people, super excited to work on audio. So it's a great source for customers to go to when they want to add on.
Appreciate that. Before we start wrapping things up here, I gotta. Oh, you got something?
Yeah, so for sure. So Ralph Florio just came on. He goes, "Sorry guys, hopped on late. My JL M6 sub installed in July. Sounds great. However, by the end of summer, it was going in and out. It would also make a static sound. Any idea what could be the cause?"
Without hearing it, it'd be hard for me to determine, but I would start with the amp and double check and make sure the amplifier is connected properly and set properly. And then just make sure that there's enough charge in the electrical system too.
Okay, and what's warranty? What kind of warranty you guys have on?
Yeah, our standalone warranty is 2 years on everything.
2 years?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yep. So when you buy a new JL speaker, subwoofer, or amp, you get 2 years, and it's from the date you purchased it.
Okay. So you got to tell us. I know there's a lot of top secret stuff going on, but is there any project right now that we've got the Palm Beach Boat Show coming up. We're looking like we're gonna have boat shows again. I know that JL's a big part of that. And what just give us a hint, man. What are we working on right now? What are we gonna see? Something that's just gonna blow us away.
Well, we're always working on stuff. We can't marketing would get very upset with me if I divulged any of the secrets, but yeah, just keep watching. We're gonna have something. We're always pushing the envelope. Be on the lookout. I would say look at the bigger boats. We got some cool stuff coming for big boats. Stuff that's a little different, but we'll still have our audio signature. So keep your eye out there.
Super cool. Super cool. Well, what do we got? We got any other good Facebook comments there? We just wrapped it up with the YouTube ones. If you didn't notice, Keith and I are trying out this new thing, and we keep bumping the table and making the camera shake.
Sorry.
I just hit it with my knee.
Yeah, Jason just kicked back in. He says, "Thanks for the info." Like I said, he's currently running the 8 M665s and two 13.5 W7s in his 22-foot pontoon boat.
That's a lot of bass for a pontoon.
He goes, "It's the party barge on a sandbar."
Yeah, that would do it. The W7 is our flagship car audio subwoofer. So that's he's gonna have a lot of output there, and yeah, that's pretty
party barge.
Crazy old pontoon.
Well, are you gonna be at the Palm Beach Boat Show? Are you guys gonna have a display there?
We won't personally as a company, but we'll have dealers there.
Oh, cool.
We always, that the only show that we try and represent directly as a company is at the Miami Boat Show, where we typically have a small booth with a couple boats, and we're doing kind of active displays and things like that. But at every major boat show, our dealers are at, and that's kind of how we support the show. And that's what people are really there for. They're wanting to pick up some speakers or an amp or something to take back and add onto their boat. And, we try and support our dealers that are on site. So yeah, I would expect to see 2 or 3 dealers at Palm Beach, similar to what you would see at Fort Lauderdale or Miami.
Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna attend that show, and I'm looking forward to walking around, seeing what's new, and I'll stop by and see what's going on in the world of marine audio. But let's see here, Keith. What do you say? What do you have delivering this weekend?
Oh gosh, what do we got? I got a
20-some minutes right board. No,
that went last Saturday.
You're taking a week off.
That's done, but we got one in, and they're rigging it, so we got another one going out.
I figured that.
Did the 325 Conquest today. Meeting some customers to do a refresher on another 325 Conquest tomorrow. They're just over here at Loggerhead. Like I said, I got a 38 Realm going next week.
I'd love to see what you guys are doing with the audio on that Realm.
Yeah, they're pretty tight out of the factory.
Yeah.
What's that?
They're pretty tight as they are out of the factory.
Yes, they are. That's very good system. But that's why I'm curious what you're adding to it.
Yeah, they added all kinds of stuff to it. So let's see. Look here real quick. Just calendar. Oh, wait. I do have 32 dancer outboard.
Yeah, figured. So that's
Thursday on the 11th.
That's our ongoing
That's-
joke. He
that
delivers a Sundancer at 320 outboard every week.
I can do that with my eyes closed. Great boat.
Well, that's a cool boat.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe one of these days we'll get JL Audio on that.
Yeah.
There you go.
So
We're always working on it.
Well, we appreciate you joining us. It's I love these episodes with, guests, especially for such high demand manufacturers. And we knew that there was going to be a lot of great questions today, and it definitely didn't disappoint. So thanks for taking the time out of your day. I'm sure you're a busy guy, and spending the time with us to answer these questions and provide a little bit of insight to the world of marine audio.
Well, thank you guys for having me. It's great. I try and catch you guys. I don't necessarily get you live every week, but try and catch a few minutes of it afterward. You guys are doing a great job, and it's cool to be on here and get to answer questions and help people out. So appreciate the time.
Absolutely. And of course, next week we have your customer rendezvous questions answered with Matthew Brolier from Marine Max Danvers up there in New England. Different world up there. They're probably a little cold right now, but spring's just around the corner. So tune in, join us, and we look forward to getting your questions answered again with another great guest. So Keith, you want to sign us off?
yeah, thanks for your time, folks. Thanks, Ori, Nick. So it was fun, man. It's been a year, I think, since I sat down at a table across from you. So
Yeah.
So I don't know. I kind of like this a little bit better.
Yeah, me too. It's definitely better.
So, all right, guys. Well, thanks for your time.
Thanks, guys.